Hey guys, Jack here, welcome back, and this is going to be a bit of a different video to what I typically do. So, I have just watched and listened to the Overlap's latest episode with Dele Alli, and it is truly moving, and I kind of want to jump on and give you just what I think and just a few words of wisdom and advice. Dele Alli decided to open up to Gary Neville and, for it to be released onto the overlap channel. And by the way, I'll link it in the description for you to check out, because I really would encourage you to listen to it. But they talked about a lot of different aspects of why Dele Alli has struggled in his career in the last few years. He talked about going through, you know, dealing with having an addiction to sleeping pills, bit alcoholism, partying, that kind of thing. And I just want to touch on those kind of topics. So one of the big topics he talked about was escapism. Having sleeping pills, because obviously when in professional football, after a match or before a match, your adrenaline's going to be a lot higher. So you need to take those drugs to help you sleep and just get to adequate rest. But he discussed how it became so. It basically kept work. It worked until it didn't, and so he ended up taking more just to get through the day. If he knew he wasn't playing, if he knew the day was over in terms of training or a match, he'll just take him just to kind of escape the world. And it's the same and he was the same with his, he drank a bit, and like that's what a lot of people do when they're emotionally charged. They drink or they find some other form of maybe substance abuse or something to escape from things. And we're all guilty of doing something like this, whether that's us going for a run, going for a walk, going for a drive, anything. We always have something to use to escape with. And unfortunately for Dele, he struggled a lot with his emotions of coping with something like that. And it's really, it makes you kind of stand up, and shows how vulnerable he was trying to find something to help him deal with the pressure that he was under, the scrutiny he was under. And one of the big things he struggled with the most was trauma. He talked about a few different instances, which I won't go into in this. You can listen for yourself. But it shows how trauma is how effective it is on negatively impacting your life. And he says it really well. Trauma is trauma no matter what. And trauma is different for every other person. It could be, grievances in your family. It could be, bullying when you're growing up. It could be, how it could be like even things that other people might not think is trauma, like, maybe almost getting hit by a car, or these different things where you have an emotional attachment to almost. And he says this, that eventually it'll come, it'll show up at the end of the road, and it can affect you in the worst times possible. And I and it was really eye opening, because I say a lot of men have experienced it. I certainly have, and I've fought through it. Like him, I've dealt with these different things. He went off to rehab over in the States during the summer just to recover from this and to help him recover mentally. And it was one of those things that he felt that he needed to do if he wanted to help himself recover and get back on track as being the great young talent that he was back in his Tottenham days under Pochettino. And he comes out of it saying how beneficial it was to speak to people, to uncover what exactly were the triggers in his life, what was really causing the problems, addressing them, and learning to live with them, but also learn to move on from them. And I think that's a lesson we can all take. Obviously, it's kind of typical of men, and I think it's gone better in recent years, but it's still not great. We're not good at speaking about our emotions. We'll tend to bottle it up and try to look ahead of everything. But unfortunately, that's not how the world works for us. Eventually, those will catch up with you, and they can hit you very hard. And they can really impact you and negatively affect your life. Not more, just in more ways than one. It can affect your personal life, your social life, your physical health. things that I'd say a lot of men have struggled with to varying degrees, and unfortunately some have not lived to tell the tale. And it sucks that that's a thing, that men still don't feel comfortable, that they can't speak to a partner, they can't speak to family, or they can't even reach out to a professional to seek help. And I think that's kind of the one thing I think everyone should take from this video, that you need to speak to someone if you have any concerns or any worry of something negatively impacting your life. Like I said, it could be something like you were chased by a dog when you were a kid, and that's that trauma sticks with you. It could be family members or best friends passing away. You don't know what will happen, and if you choose to ignore those feelings, they're going to catch up, and it could really hinder your life. And I just want to lastly thank the overlap, thank Dele Alli for opening up to, if you haven't listened to it, I really again encourage you to do so, of such traumatic experiences, of how difficult it must have been for a young man who you have to say is probably like in the top 1% in the UK in terms of the amount of money he has and notoriety he has. Like, he represented England at the World Cup in 2018. Like, probably the dream of every young person to represent their country at a World Cup. Like, it's amazing. And someone at that stature who received ridiculous amounts of abuse, accusations, and of being lazy, of being unprofessional, it shows that there's so much more to people that you don't realize. You look at someone online, you look at me, you look at Dele Alli, you look at every pro footballer, and you think they have living the best life. They have they have hundreds of thousands of pounds, millions of pounds, driving the best cars, getting with the best women. But really, it's not like that. They have a lot of demons, and Dele Alli has opened up about those and shared them with the world in the hope that it helps other people in the same mindset or similar mindset of feeling down and feeling helpless, that there is always help. There will always be help. You just need to go and get it, because at the end of the day, it's up to you to try to get that help. It took me a long time to figure that out, to seek the help, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad, I say many, like hundreds of thousands or even potentially millions of guys who probably ignored the signs and allowed it to manifest into something horrible, got the help that they needed, and they seeked it, and they've come out of this in a better light. So I'm going to leave a few links in the description for helplines in the UK and Ireland, just for people just try to reach out and just talk to someone, and just begin the steps of trying to get yourself sorted, because the last thing we want is to have more people added to the statistic. And we're all individuals, we're all unique, and we want to keep it that way. We want everyone to live fruitful and happy lives. And you might not realize that, you might think, I'm not not in the position that I would like to be, that where I would need to be. Just remember, everyone has their own timeline. You could be 20 and be super successful in a business, or you can be 30 still trying to figure out what you're doing. The point is, it's your journey, it's no one else's. Don't look at everyone else and what they're doing, because that can just negatively impact you. Focus on yourself, focus on what you want to do, and it's just enjoy life. That's what I'm trying to do, trying to figure out my life, and hopefully we'll get there someday. And I hope you do too. So that's it for me. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, take care.